because it's pilot season, you know, we might have some controversial takes on what should go forward. If you've listened to the first episode of this podcast, you know we're not exactly a fan of Walker Independence moving forward, but it is one of the pilots on order. So we are going to talk about it.
Let's do that.
Okay, so do we think this is one of the series that's going to go forward on the network?
I think it's complicated. I think it has a good chance because it has a successful successor, right? Or predecessor. I don't know.
I think it's both. Mate, no, it's predecessor. It's predecessor.
You know what I mean.
Yes.
But I do feel like this one has an opportunity to maybe move to a different streamer. Maybe this is one that we see go to HBO Max. I don't know. Is Walker even on HBO Max? That's probably some research that I probably should have done before talking about that. But yeah, I don't know. I think this one, out of all of the three that we're going to talk about in the pilot stage, is the one that I'm kind of like, this could go either way depending on how it's tested.
Yeah, I feel the same because it's got a connection to something that's really successful on the network. I think Walker is like the second most watched show of the season so far. I'm pretty sure it was the most watched last season. So clearly people are tuning in for that. We have our reasons or beliefs why people are tuning in. So I'm not sure if the spin-off will garner as much interest unless it has a similar kind of fanfare about it. But I feel like the network is continually trying to Arrowverse its other series in that it's franchising out with other programs. Of course, maybe we should use the original example of the Vampire Diaries. Like it was a thing back in the day, and of course it still exists now through legacies. Arrowverse, that's been talked about many times. I'm not sure it'll ever die. And then you have the Supernatural franchise is yet again trying to get back into the game, and I feel like I miss All American. There's the one. Now they're franchising it out as well. So I feel like they've picked their most successful standalone show as far as viewership goes to try to franchise that. I'm not sure it'll have the same impact that the likes of like All American and the Arrowverse shows have had in building this kind of successful franchise. But I do think there's a good chance it could go ahead because, like I said, it might be a risk worth taking. I could definitely see it moving to the next few stages at least.
I agree, but I agree tentatively. And I say that because, like, personal opinion, I don't think that the CW should invest in a period piece that's set in the 1800s. And it's not because I don't think a Western can be successful on the show. I think that they're not going to give it the budget that it needs, or the program that it needs. And I just, like, if you're going to do a period piece, why go all the way back to the 1800s? Like, you already know we're going to be out here with the horses and the buggies and the training and the desert dirt. Like, even if the premise was better, the premise is that Abby Walker's husband dies. She's a fluent Bostonian who then travels, and she meets Hoyt Rollins, and they end up in Independence, Texas, where they meet like a diverse group of people trying to make it in the West. Like, it feels kind of a little hokey, but also with the mystery at the middle of it. And I'm just like, I don't know if the CW is the network to balance that, especially, and I've said this before, I'm going to continue to say it when beat this part home, because I think it's true. It's going to get compared to 1883 on Paramount Plus, and it's not going to stand up to that show because it's on the CW and they do not have the same budgets. Like, it's just not going to happen. So let's not do that.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the CW is kind of like looking at Paramount Plus's paper and like, could we do that too? Maybe we can get in on that. And I don't think it's the greatest idea. And I also think the title's kind of weak. I don't know if throwing Walker in there is really necessary. I don't know. But I know we talked about this a little bit before, but which actress, if she was casted, would you be like, oh, fine, I will watch Walker Independence? Who is that for you?
It's Erica Durance, because I loved her as Lois Lane in Smallville. And I think that she would bring the kind of fun and feistiness and fierceness that Abby Walker needs. I mean, if she's gonna be a woman who's got to figure out like what happened to her husband, but somehow we're doing that in a completely different state, and she's gonna be with a rough, tumbling, wandering man, and the two of them are figuring out what Independence, Texas is all about, then it'd be Erica for me. I'm gonna watch the pilot anyway, but I would at least give it 3 episodes for Erica.
Love that choice for you. I think that would be awesome. I would tune in for that as well. Best Lois Lane ever. If you know me, you know I probably already know my choice, and I would probably pick Katie Cassidy because I've loved watching her on Arrow over the years, on Supernatural over the years. She's a CW vet like Erica, and then I could see them reaching out to try to have a similar kind of approach to what they did with Walker for like getting Jared Padalecki to leave the show. I would absolutely tune in. Don't get me wrong, I'd still like to, as you'll know later, see her lead Green Arrow and the Canaries, and we'll talk about that later. But I feel like that would get me to tune in. She's been in plenty of CW dramas, and I feel like not all of them were given their worth, and this one might be. So I would definitely tune in to see her.
I have 3 guys.
Ooh,
Go for it.
I know I couldn't decide because I was like, oh, these are all so good. And I love both of your choices. So my first one is like the biggest long shot ever, Nina Dobrev. I think we aim high for Nina for a CW comeback. Don't think that's the space she's in right now, but just had to throw that out there just in case. Also, one that I thought of it and I was like, that's a great idea. I should be in casting. Hillary Burton Morgan from One Tree Hill, Peyton Sawyer. I think she's, she lives on a ranch now. She's very like, outdoorsy, always got the cowboy hat. I think that would be like a perfect role for her. Also, not sure if she's looking to get back into the like episodic television space. But my last one, and probably the most, I don't think a lot of people will maybe agree with me, but Jessica Stroup from 90210. I think she was also in Iron Fist. Anybody?
The name sounds, I think so.
She was Silver in 90210, and I just want to see her back on the CW and leading a show. I would watch it for her because she was my favorite on 90210.
I like all of those picks, Reed. Well, I'd have to tune into Miss Jessica. I'll have to look her up. But as far as Nina, she actually did a period piece set in the West in the 1800s. Like recently, it was a movie, and I wish I remember the title, but now I kind of really, really want Nina because you reminded me of that movie, and I was like, yes, let it be Nina.
She came up on my list as well when I was thinking, because she did the period parts of the Vampire Diaries, of course, set in 1864. So I could definitely see her channeling that Catherine Pierce again for Walker Independence.
Now I want it.
Make it happen, CW.
Dreamcast.
Nina, come back.